G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and look, let's keep this one short, but this is the Furibee Nebula review, and essentially what I do now, I like to put my reviews all in one, but when I first filmed this, we just did the part one. So what's going to happen, we're going to roll the part one, then we're going to jump over into the part two. It's all going to be condensed, but it'll be a little bit strange because I'll be sort of saying, anyway, you guys will figure it out, but we're checking out the Furibee Nebula, and trust me, this thing, it doesn't end too well. Alright, let's kick it off with the part one, and then the part two should follow later on in the video. Alright, see you on the other side. G'day, Stu here from UAVfutures, and today, besides making some lame intros and having some fun, well, that's what our channel's all about. It's about having fun with FPV. What we're doing, we're going to be checking out the Furibee Nebula. Now, honestly, this is, I guess, the most prettiest looking drone I've ever seen. Definitely, it's very feminine with the pink and the purple, and I've got to give a bit of a shout out to Furibee because they are making so many, like, legit FPV races. They're just smashing them out. But I want to say to them, guys, what are you doing as a business point of view if you're making all these models? They're all competing with each other, like the X215, the Dark Max, we've got the Nebula, the Fire Dancer. You're making all these Furibee drones that are very, very similar. So what I want you guys to do, stop making new models, Furibee. What you should be doing is refining this, breaking it down, and just making one, and I mean one really good kick-ass racer that sort of gets everything right, because you guys are just like, quantity, now it's time to be putting in some quality. Anyway, after that rant's over, what this is the part one review of the Furibee Nebula, and quite possibly the prettiest drone I've ever seen. When sticking it on the bench, breaking it down, having a look at some things I like, things I don't like, and then we're taking it out, ripping it around, hitting it with the speed gun, and seeing just how well this bad boy goes. Now, a few little things, I'm not going to miss it this time. I can already see that these arms aren't true carbon fiber, so we're going to have to put that to the test. Enough rambling here, let's stick it on the bench and get started. Alrighty, so here it is on the bench, the Furibee Nebula. I don't know why I said it like that, and look, I do like the look of it. It is a very pretty drone, very feminine, but I don't know, I think it's got its charm. But what this is a bit of an overview. It's a 5-inch racer. It's bind and fly, so you pretty much get the version that's right for you. I'll link all the versions down below, and you just hook it up to your radio, then you can go out and have some FPV drone racing action. And look, it is made, 5 inches are the real racing size, but is it going to perform like a 5-inch? I'm not so sure, because look, it is a bit of a cheaper one. It's on a budget. It does do some things right, but straight off the bat, I can see some things that I'm a little bit suspicious of, like these props, and also I'm noticing it's not pure carbon fiber in terms of the arms. Anyway, what we should do, the first thing, let's stick it on the scales, find out how much it weighs. I'm going to guess it's coming in at 370 grams, and no joke, haven't weighed this thing before. Well, okay. 300, that's significantly lighter than I was thinking. So alright, so it's a pretty light quadcopter, and I would say some of that, it does feel light. The motors, I've seen these in the past, they're not terrible. They were on the Furibee X215. You can go and watch that video up here. I really liked that quad, but it doesn't have carbon in the arm, so maybe that's where it's losing some of the weight, because, you know, this sort of composite arm is a little bit lighter, but, you know, people have their doubts about, you know, are you actually losing some structural integrity because of that? Now, what we're going to do, we're going to jump in, have a look at the components, and talk about sort of the design of the thing, the quality, the pros and cons, and then wrap it up with some final thoughts. So the first thing we're going to do out of the way, the first component I want to talk about is the frame. So you can see it's 230 millimeters from motor to motor. It's in that sort of stretched X version, which means it's longer. The motors are separate. The motors are longer this way than they are across the front. So that's going to help in our flying, I guess, a little bit. It's going to keep some clean air into the back props, sort of separate them out a little bit, so you've got that nice distance. I find it a little bit easier to control the pitch as well on a stretched X sort of frame. You can see it's blinged out with this sort of crazy purple color, and this is a mistake that I've seen a lot of reviewers make, and look, I'm guilty of this in the past when I guess I was ignorant, I didn't know too much about carbon fiber. The top plate that you see has absolutely no representation on the way that the carbon's cut. So a lot of people say, oh, you can see on the arms that the carbon's not cut the correct way, all that sort of jazz. Those top layers, it's purely cosmetic. You can pick whatever type of top layer you like, and on the bottom layer, what really counts is the inside. You've got to actually snap it open to see that, and I'm not going to be snapping open this frame. Now, in saying that, this part here, you can see we've got some composite parts. So in the middle, it's not full carbon fiber, and I want to say it's
surprisingly stiff. Now, stiff might mean more fragile in a hard crash. We will have to put this one through its paces and give it a total ripping around and see how much damage we can take, and hopefully it's not going to break. But look, I want to just say, even though it's light, and I feel like it's a pretty good composite, but time will tell as well. I know the Wizard X220 review that I did a long time ago, that actually caught me out, but at least these guys, they're not trying to paint it purple and make it pass it off as carbon. It's very, very clear that you can see that, look, they've actually got a composite in the arm right there. Now, what we should do, I'm not even going to zoom in about these props. These props, I think they're sort of rubbish. They're fishbone props. You get a spare set, throw those to the, well, actually, they're like a little tri-blade one. I don't really like them. I'm going to be putting some Cyclones or some Vans or something like that on there. Let's zoom in now, though, and have a bit of a closer look at some of the motors. So here's the motors. I'm going to flash a picture on the screen, but you're not going to see too much because, look, they're unbranded. They're 2205, 2600 kV, and when it comes to generic motors, you want a higher kV because all things equal, I don't think these things are going to perform as well as something out there like a top-notch motor like a Brother Hobby or something like that. But, you know, if you've got the option between a 23 and a 26, the 26 kV I always think is going to have a bit more thrust. So even though these might be some generic ones, I still think they're going to have plenty of poke when you're flying it around. Now, moving towards the middle, this is where we've got our ESC, and sometimes people have been putting 4-in-1s and they've been becoming more and more common, but on this one, this is where we've just got our 25 amp BioHeli S ESC, so nothing too special whatsoever. They're not branded, anything like that. On the arms does mean they're going to be getting a little bit more airflow, so they shouldn't be burning out anytime soon. Seriously, I don't know the last time I had an ESC fire. It was so long ago, so I wouldn't be stressing about that, whether it was a 4-in-1 or not. It's a bit of a shame, actually, because this one looks like it's going after sort of some cosmetic, something that looks pretty cool, so I thought they might have included a 4-in-1, because look, this thing, it is pretty blinged up. Now, towards the middle, what we're going to do, let's take the top plate off right here. We've got our little dipole FPV antenna, so we'll put that to the side, and we'll take out off our top plate and talk about some of the internals. Now, start at the bottom. I'll flash some pictures on the screen because it's a little bit hard to see with all this stuff in the way. We've just got our PDB and then our F4 flight controller rocking a Betaflight OSD, which is fantastic, you know, because everything should have an OSD. And then we've got our VTX on the top, which you can also change the power level of as well. I do like how it's got the pigtail. I think they're a great idea, but what I would kind of prefer is if you just ran your antenna out the back like this, because on the top, I know nowadays we know better. This is how we used to do about a year ago, and you put your antenna on the top, but they can get clipped. It's a good way for them to break. So I do wish your antenna just ran straight out the back and you could zip tie that down. That'd be a much better solution. And then on the front, we've got a HS1177 size camera. So I say size because look, it's a CMOS camera. In there, you've got a 2.8mm lens, so pretty generic stuff. And I'm going to say, you know, you're not going to be getting the best, I guess, video or anything like that, but it's not going to be bad as well. It's going to be more than flyable. And then we've got our little receiver, you know, because they can come in a bunch of different little bind and fly options. Now, some of the other little extras that you get that aren't your normal typical components, you've got your little buzzer here, and why do these things always say remove after washing? You know, who's putting their quad through the washing machine? You've got some multicolored LEDs, which I'll flash a picture on the screen as well. And then on the bottom, you know, you've just got your little Velcro strap. So nothing too crazy when it comes to the components, but for the price, look, you've got a pretty generic racer that's absolutely blinged out with some decent stuff, I guess. Like when it comes to the motors, they're pretty generic, but things like the F4 flight controller, that sort of stuff, it's going to go pretty well. Now, in terms of the design of the thing, I think the components, and for the price, I'm just going to give it like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. I've got nothing against the components whatsoever. It's a pretty generic sort of quadcopter. The frame, this is where I'm not sure how I feel. Like if this thing holds up, because there are some composites, look, I know the comments are going to get upset. There are some composite frames that hold up really, really well and can actually, there are some things out there that are actually stronger than just carbon fiber, believe it or not. Internet hype, but you know, it would be nice. Most of our frames are carbon fiber for a reason. So however this thing holds up, time will tell. We'll have to definitely give it some crashes and see just how well it goes. I think the main thing for this one though, it's been designed around looks. So you can see they've gone for purple motors, purple frames, purple standoffs, purple props, all that sort of stuff, and that shouldn't be your first thought when it comes to a racer. You should be thinking, what sort of performance can I get, and how much can I get, how much do I have to pay to get that performance? So I would be happy if they went, look, sell this thing $20 cheaper or something like that. Don't worry about the color of the components, just make it fly a little bit better or sell it for a little bit cheaper. Now look, the quality of the thing, I'm going to give it about a 6 out of 10 as well. It's not the worst I've seen, it's not the best I've seen, but like a lot of these cheap bind and flies, it's not going to be as good as if you're doing it yourself. Or I know if I was building myself, these solder joints would be a little bit better. And the quality of the components is just generic stuff. So generic motors, generic, not even labeled ESCs, generic camera, that sort of stuff. I do like the flight controller. That's fine. I think that's a good choice. But yeah, overall, I'd say the quality, you're kind of getting what you pay for. So if you look at value, I would say great. But if you're looking at, versing some of the top-notch components out there, I would say probably about a 6 out of 10 as well when it comes to sort of your generic components. The pros and the cons. Well, pro, it does look great. I think they've done a good job designing around. I do like the look of it, and if you can get bling without having to worry about it at no extra cost, that's great. Unfortunately, I feel like bling was the first thing they were going for. I'm not sure about these side rails, so time will tell. I would like a bit of maybe like a 2.3 lens or anything like that. The quality, that's a little bit of a con, but again, look at the price, can't complain too much. And then the big one for me, look, you've got these arms underneath, which we definitely have to do some hard crashes with, and I hope it doesn't break because it does look really, really nice, and it's going to feel bad crashing this thing into a tree on purpose because it just sort of goes against the grain for me. But I do want to stress and want to see just how much these arms can hold up and how much they can actually take. Now, I would like it if it could rock a 5S battery or anything like that. Unfortunately, this one's just made for that 2 to 4S action, so it's going to be 4S all the way for this little bad boy here. Anyway, that was sort of it for its bench overview. I must admit, it is a good looking drone, and drop that in the comments down below too, or what do you think about it. But I can't wait for the part 2 when we actually take it out and rip it around. And unfortunately, I'm a little bit excited, feeling bad, when we crash it into a tree, how are these arms going to hold up? Rightio, out here in the field, about to rip it around with the Furibee Nebula. That's how you got to say it, Trev. Nebula. Someone's just hit a gate and had a stack behind us. But what we're going to be doing, we're going to fly it around. I'm going to show you guys some HD footage. We'll hand it over to Grumpy Trev. He can fly it around as well. We'll hit it with Speed Gun Sally, even though Crash Test Cal's not here. We'll see how fast we can go. And then what I want to do, a bit of a game, a drop test from way up high to see how durable is this frame, and just because it's not carbon fiber, is it going to break? All right, let's do it. Okie dokie, here we go, on board with some HD footage, and the first thing I want to say is, we've changed the props, but the camera angle, or the camera field of view on here, was an absolute nightmare because it had such a small field of view. It felt very, very strange to fly, and I actually found it really difficult. It sort of reminded me when I first went back, when I was first learning to fly, I can't fly on something with such a small field of view like this, so I had no peripheral vision or anything like that, and that made it really hard to try to hit the track and see where I'm going, because if you can't see, then you can't fly. Now, if you're not trying to do that really precise flying, which is where I don't think that this quad excels, it did feel like it had plenty of poke, and I will say its flight characteristics, it was snappy, it was smooth, all that sort of stuff, but overall, look, there's a bit of power right there, and we did change the props out, but overall, it just, it didn't feel like it was a whole package coming together. It definitely wasn't bad, and I've seen a lot worse, things like the fire dancer and stuff, those things burst into flames, but this one was just kind of average on all levels, and definitely the camera wasn't helping my abilities whatsoever, so I definitely was not a fan of that. If you get one of these, do change that out. All right, that's I can't really fly that with that lens. The field of view is way too small. What we're going to do, let's switch it out, put another lens in, and then take it up and rip it around. Okie dokie, so here we go. This is when I changed the camera lens out, I should say, to put on a bigger field of view. And of course, how ironic, what did I do? I screwed it in a little bit too fast so I could focus it, and it did end up sort of breaking the camera, so we're getting a bit of jello. I know it was touching the sensor, and I couldn't believe it. On top of that, we also ended up getting some purple vision. So this Nebula wanted to go full on purple. Let's make everything purple. So here you can see anyway, some DVR flying it around, and I am sorry, Trevor, I did sort of break it. This quad ended up breaking quite a bit later in the review, but you can see jello aside, because that wasn't there when I just had the sort of standard lens in here. And what I would recommend, if you're going to do this, don't even swap the lens out. Just get a brand new FPV camera to put in the front. You're going to have a much better time anyway. Anyway, what we should do, let's hand it over to Grumpy Trev. Now we've got this purple business out of the way. Alrighty, so that was a lot of fun. Let's hand it over to Grumpy Trev. And Trevor, I am sorry to say, I know you've wanted to fly a few things today, and it turns out I have been breaking quite a bit. And I kind of broke the lens on this one because it was awful. I swapped it out, I put another one in, but it seems like we've got some crazy colors going on, so you're just gonna have to make do with that. But the flight characteristics should still be the same. So this is the Furibee Nebula, and what do you reckon, or what do you notice?
It's purple.
Yep.
Very purple.
Yes.
And
it even came with purple props actually, but I changed those out for Cyclones, yeah, or pink props.
And it's, what's it made of?
Well,
some
good
sort of
question.
composite
Not
sort of
carbon.
material?
I think it's a glass carbon mix actually.
It's pretty rigid. whatever it is.
Give that a flex. Is that more rigid than you thought for a
Way
non-pure
rigid.
carbon frame?
That is. I can't believe how rigid that is for actually what it is.
Would you think if you didn't know better and it was dark and you had to flex that, would you think it could be carbon?
Oh yeah.
Or would be carbon?
Yep.
Yep.
It looks pretty neat little package for what it is. They've got a buzzer.
You want to rip it around?
Yeah, I want to have a rip of this.
All right, let's do it. I'm going to take the GoPro off too because we don't want to.
It doesn't come with that.
Well, no, it doesn't come with a GoPro, and I don't want you to lose that.
Oh.
So, you got that just in case. Okay. All right, Trevor, here's the radio. It actually matches. We've got a purple radio as well.
Which is that one?
Yes, correct. I think the other one's buzzer. Let me check. Oh yeah, look at me. He's all set up with the pro things.
Your buzzer actually works.
Yeah. All right, let's do it.
Oh, bit of jello, a lot of noise in the video feed. Oh, it's disappeared now. Oh, it's back again. Look, fly's all right. Got a little bit of punch, nimble.
Any oscillations or anything like that?
I reckon the camera's loose.
Yeah, I did mess the camera up pretty bad.
So I reckon that's it's through the camera, but it actually feels all right, surprisingly. I've flown a lot worse. Give me a flat battery.
All right, Trev, so I've put a new battery in, a fresh one this one. I might have put a flat one in before, but let's do a bit more flying around.
Thanks, mate. Oh, okay. Wow, jeez, does that make a bloody hell?
So has it got a bit more poke now?
Oh, yeah. Look at this. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is like a new quad.
It does look a bit better in the air.
Hell. Way better than it was before. It was okay before, and it was a flat battery, so there you go. Actually, I like this. And now I'm excited. Before it was just, oh yeah, just another. It was okay, an okay quad, but this is really nice. No crap, it's really good. I'm getting a bit of oscillations, but the camera, we've had issues with that, so
yep.
Stu broke that, so that's all I'd put it down to. Handles really well, quite nimble, really do like that.
All right, how do you think it's going to hold up when we drop it?
Look, I don't reckon it's going to break. How stiff that frame was before, I'd be surprised if it does any damage at all.
I reckon it depends on how it lands. If it lands awkwardly, I reckon we'll snap an arm, but otherwise it might just be fine. Who knows?
I reckon if anything's going to break at all, it'll be the top bit. But right. I'll bring it in anyway. But
yep.
Look, I'm quite impressed with this.
What do you think it'll get in the speed test? Because Cal's not here today, so how fast do you think it'll go? Miles per hour. I
reckon probably 70.
All right, I'll go 75 then.
Yeah.
Too easy.
Because it had plenty of poke then, so no, I'm quite impressed.
All right, Trev, I guess, well, what are your final thoughts before we hit it with the speed gun?
Well, very surprised how well this thing did go. Value for money, it's probably up around an 8. For performance, I'd give it about an 8 as well.
Okay.
It did handle really well. So we'll see how it goes in the drop test.
So do you think this is one of Furibee's better drones, versus like some of the other Fire Dancer and the other ones?
Definitely. When they get it right, they get it right.
Yep.
This one, well, for a start, didn't burst into flames when we plugged it in. So that's got to be a bonus. It's got better motors and everything on it, so this is a much better value.
All right, nice. Thanks, Trev.
Here I am doing Cal's job. Just notice this, Cal, no helmet, you wuss, and no friggin' shield. So there you go. All right, have another go. 76. 75. Cal, 79 mile an hour. What's so hard about this, Cal? 79 mile an hour. Who needs a bloody helmet to do this?
Alrighty, so the way this is going to work, and I'm not an advocate of smashing up quads because I feel a little bit bad, but a lot of people always want to know how well does carbon fiber and I guess the composites, how well do they hold up in a crash? So what we're going to do, a bit of a game as well, we're going to take it up, you know, fairly high, see how well my aim is, drop it and see if I can land it in this space here, and then I guess record the results and see, is this frame, are the arms going to break, and that sort of stuff. Nothing too scientific, a little bit fun, and let's see what happens to this carbon, or carbon mix I should say. All right, good luck. What do I get if I get it in there, Trev?
What do you get?
Yeah.
You get to keep the quad. If you don't get in there, it's mine.
Okay. I don't like that guy. I got it, it's in there,
Might be the last we see of that.
You clear, Trev?
Yeah, just tell me when you're going to do it. You're miles away from it. That was just a bounce. God, that'll still fly again. They call that a crash, Stu?
Well, that was pretty high.
No, was it? Do it again.
Let's see if it even boots up.
It just bounced. It was. I could drop you from that far. I reckon you'd survive.
All right, take two. All right,
that's better. Ah, the tree. Well, I reckon it's good to go again.
All right, well,
your battery's dead though.
We're having a bit of trouble breaking this thing, so it looks like I'm going to have to fly it into the ground, I guess steer it in there. So that's what we'll do. We'll take it up and I'll steer it into the ground. I'm sorry, Nebula, this will be the last one, I promise.
I think you just bent the props. Oh no, it's broken.
Is it?
Yeah.
Where?
The prop.
Oh, the prop. All right, so look, I've got to bend the frame back in. It's come, oh no, we did break an arm. Look in here. That part is a little bit broken.
Yeah, it is too.
So look, it is broken, but that also might have broken just a plain carbon frame. I've seen carbon frames break a lot worse than that. So look, the first ones I was kind of impressed with. The rest of it held up pretty well, and we did break an arm. But yeah, that might have happened even with a pure carbon frame as well. So
well I'm impressed. I'd fly something like that because that was pretty strong. That's extraordinary crash. Battery's knackered.
We're just checking, even though it's got that broken arm, if it will still fly. So see if the components are okay.
Too close.
That's not bad. Rightio, Cal, this is the Nebula, and for those people wondering at home, there's a lot of flies, which is why you've got that, because you went out there the other day when Trev and I flew around this. We actually broke the arm, we did some testing. So what are your thoughts on this Nebula? We've changed the props, but what do you notice?
My initial thoughts is it's got one of these weird carbon frames with the, I don't know what they call it, what it is. It's some kind of foam core.
Yep.
And I'm not a fan of that at all. I'm not going to prejudge this. We'll see how it goes, and I just don't think it's going to be a durable quad.
Give it a flex between this one and that one, because I broke this arm. This arm's actually broken. We broke that in a test. How does it feel in terms of, I guess, rigidity?
Oh, it's very stiff.
It is, isn't it?
Exceptionally. A purple picture as well as a purple frame.
Well, yeah, I didn't tell you that part, but I sort of broke the camera last week too, so that's why everything looks purple.
Okay.
Alrighty, so there it is. There's my full review, I guess, if you watch the part 1 and the part 2. They're on the same day anyway, but there's my review of the Furibee Nebula. It's super pretty, and you know what? I kind of do like it. The foam held up a lot better than I thought it was. It was very, very strong for what it was, and that crash, it might have broken a normal carbon arm as it was. It was very light. Its flight characteristics weren't, you know, they weren't nothing super special, but they also weren't bad as well. So I think for a Furibee product, you sort of get what you pay for. I would prefer it if it was full carbon, because I do think that bit would be a little bit tougher in most of the standard sort of crashes. And overall, look, I'm just going to say I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Nothing too crazy, but nothing too bad as well. I definitely, you know, didn't burst into flames like the Fire Dancer, so at least that's a bit of a plus. Anyway, what do you guys think? Drop those comments down below. Sorry for the part 1, part 2, because look, it was filmed a little bit ago, and then I had just filmed the part 2 recently. But since going full-time now, and thank you to everybody who supports me on my Patreon for going full-time. Since going full-time, I'm trying to put all the reviews in one sort of section so you guys can get all the right information at once. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying. Oh, also too, go and check out that Discord link, because that's one of the great ways for our community to get together. That'll be in the description down below. A great way for our community to get together, help each other, and just share more things FPV related. Alright, happy flying. Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page, because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAVfutures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.